All right, what is up, everybody? Today is Finer Things Club in the Hector house. Finer Things Club is a little joke that my wife and I have. We love watching The Office, and inside one of the episodes, Pam, Oscar, and Toby start this little group called the Finer Things Club where they read books and such, and they have really fine china and like all this kind of stuff. So we started our like little finer, what we call Finer Things Coffee. And so Finer Things Coffee is basically French press coffee and putting it in nice like china type dishes. So today's Finer Things Saturday. All right. Let's kick it off. So we had, we're going to be covering a couple of questions here. One question I added that wasn't really specific for today's live, but it was a question that was asked with inside of the group this week. And it's also just a really common question, and I thought I'd answer it here, okay? So, what in the world was that? That was weird. So the first question comes from Dubois. He says, should I focus on double kettlebell work with short stints of single kettlebell work to handle asymmetries, or should I do both single and double kettlebell work with my regular training? So really great question, and I've got a couple of different ways to answer this. So if you don't know, I'm a big fan, and it's something that I always schedule into my training, you know, when I work with my guys and our students, is kind of how to balance this whole double and single kettlebell work. And I want to get into also some of the pros and cons of single bell versus double kettlebell. Okay, so to answer, and one of the benefits of a single bell program after like double kettlebell is to handle asymmetries, and that's one of the primary reasons why I add that in there. So let me answer this the first way. So option number one is double kettlebell work for like 4 to 12 week blocks. Okay, 4 to 12 week blocks, depending on how long the program is. So that can be, you know, multiple 4-week programs. That could be 2 6-week programs. That could be a 12-week program. Okay, on double bells. But I recommend doubles like 4 to 12 weeks. Okay, I wouldn't go any longer than that. Then at the end of a long stint of training with double bells, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, I recommend backing that up with a 4-week single bell practice. And I'm going to get into what that can look like here in just a second. So just to briefly answer that, I would go with double kettlebell training for 4 to 12 weeks. After that, you follow it up with single bell training for like 4 weeks. Okay, that's option number one. Option number two is, and it also have to take, and so we also want to consider like time constraints, right? Like how much time do we have for training? If you're someone that's like training is like, this is not even like training is something that I put before anything else. It's a big priority of my life. Then, and time is like not the issue, then the second option will probably work better for you. If time is of the essence and you're just like crazy busy and you're like struggling just to get that workout in, I would go with this first option. Focus on one thing at a time, double kettlebell training, 3 times per week, what have you. You do that for 4 to 12 weeks, and then from there you back it up with a single bell program. Okay, that would be option number one. Option number two is you're like, you know what, time is not a problem. I'm like fully committed. I'm willing to train like every single day because it's something that I enjoy doing. Option number two is double kettlebell work, same term of training, 4 to 12 weeks. Okay, you can start, and so now we can combine. So his second part of his question is, or can I combine single and double bell? And that's kind of what option number two is. Training, time is not a problem. So double kettlebell training 4 to 12 weeks. You would start and end your session with single bell training. Okay, start and end your session with single bell training. So as an example, here's some single bell, and it's not really, I wouldn't even consider it training. I would consider this just more of like a practice, almost like maintenance work. okay? So you would start and end your session with single bell work. Here are some example single bell exercises that you can incorporate. Maybe you're doing a double kettlebell complex program, or you're doing double presses or what have you. Incorporate single leg deadlifts, okay? Arm bars, crooked arm bars. You got a couple different variations there. Obviously the get up, okay? One arm swings, one arm snatches, one arm cleans. You got rows that you can do, okay? Or option number 3. So option number 2 is still kind of very efficient. You're still training 3 days per week, but you're starting and ending your session with some single bell training. So here's what that could look like with option 2. You start your warm up, let's just say a get up on each side, or you start with an arm bar on each side and a couple of single leg deadlifts per side. Then you do your strength training, double bells, and then you finish with arm bar as a cool down and a get up as a cool down, or maybe you finish with some kind of like as a finisher, you finish with some single bell swings, some single bell snatches, something like that, and you're just kind of working on your technique and really just practicing. You don't have a set number of sets, not a set number of repetitions, but I would keep your reps to like 5 or so, and you're just kind of practicing those skills, but you're getting in some of that single kettlebell work, okay? That's how I would recommend, if you're still trying to stay efficient, you're gonna train 3 days per week, that would be option number 2, how you can start to combine these together. Option number 3 is like the guy that's like, you know what, I don't mind training every single day. I like being active. This is just a big part of my life. Option number 3, you basically train them independently. So the double kettlebell work will probably be the meat and potatoes of your training. Okay, so that is something that you would do, like let's just say on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You know, if you're following like 701 or you're doing the Genesis program or whatever that is, you're following that on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay. Then you can do your work on your single bell practice on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And that is where you can work on maybe swings on Tuesday, work on snatches on Thursday, or cleans on Thursday, and you kind of just follow that progression. Swings on Tuesday, cleans on Thursday, snatches on Saturday. And I recommend just keep it more of like a practice, not a set number of repetitions or a set number of sets. I would go work anywhere from like sets of 5 to sets of 10, somewhere inside there, and just work on practicing those skills, okay? And that's how you can start to cycle out your training. Okay. Now, really quick on some of the benefits of like why double bell, why single bell, like which one should I kind of focus on? Well, again, it really depends on your goals. Okay, it really depends on your goals. So, obviously, beginner, you're going to start with single bell, and you got to learn the skills, right? Obviously, that's kind of like a no-brainer. But one of the things that single bell has over double kettlebells is if you want to build like if you want to, let's just say you want to build abs, right? Like you're like, I want to really work on like some definition. Obviously we're going to talk about that piece here in the next question. Is if you want to build a stronger midsection, stronger core, and you want to just kind of really work on like again that middle area, single kettlebell work is going to be better than double bell. That sounds kind of backwards. Like, well, doesn't double kettlebell work force me to do more work? Doesn't it strain my body more? It does. But with double kettlebells, you're symmetrically loaded, right? So with single kettlebell work, you have to use more of your midsection. You're getting this cross-body stabilization going on, okay? You're swinging the bell, or you're snatching it, or you're pressing it on one side, and you have to stabilize on the other side, okay? Get-ups, arm bars, single leg deadlifts, all that stuff, you're working anti-rotational forces there. So that's going to really work the midsection because your trunk, your core, is basically it helps you distribute power from your legs through your hands. That's what it does. Think about like throwing a baseball, right? Running, sprinting, throwing a punch, swinging a baseball bat. You're developing that power from your legs up, and it's got to go through your midsection and then out through the hands, right? So that is why single bell stuff is, if you're trying to build a stronger midsection, I highly recommend going the route of single kettlebell training because it's going to work that cross-body stabilization. You can think of your midsection as like it's basically like the transmission for your body, right? Transmission tells the back wheels and the front wheels what to do, right? Transmission goes out, everything else goes to hell, right? So your midsection, it's always important to train that. Even some direct ab work from time to time is pretty good, okay? Hanging leg raises, all kinds of, things like that. Double kettlebell training, if you're trying to build maximum strength and you're trying to put on more muscle mass, then yes, double kettlebells is the way you need to go because it taxes the system more, puts more strain on the system. So if you're trying to build maximum strength, you're trying to, those are pretty much the two primary reasons, maximum strength and, my brain is going away. Maximum strength and muscle building. Double kettlebells is highly beneficial for that. Single kettlebell work is really good for endurance type stuff. Endurance, speed, power type exercises. You can still do those with double bells, but it's a little more challenging because it's twice the load, okay? So speed, endurance, building a stronger core, that's gonna be more beneficial, single bell stuff. Double kettlebell, you're working on maximum strength, okay? Pressing, squatting, push presses, double jerks, those kind of things. Those are gonna build maximum strength and help you overload the system for muscle building, okay? Let me see here. So hopefully, Dubois, that answers your question there. So you have three options, basically. Let me recap that question. So you got three options. So you can go double, time efficient, double kettlebell. You focus on double bell for a period of time, and then a small period of single bells to work on any asymmetries, work on some get-ups, arm bars, like that kind of thing. Or option number two, you can combine them together and you can start and end your session with single bell work. You start with a few single leg deadlifts, an arm bar, a get-up, something like that. Then you go into your double bell training and you kind of finish with the same thing at the end. Or number three is, time is not a problem. I don't mind training every single day. You can start to cycle your training. You can do double bell on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, single bell on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And the single bell stuff is just kind of more of a practice because the double bell will be like the meat and potatoes of the training. And then the single bell work is like maintenance, practice, working on some endurance, those kind of things, okay? And it also serves as a nice recovery. Again, you're identifying any possible asymmetries, etc. So that's what I would work through double and single bell work, all right? Next question comes from Kyle. So he didn't actually drop this specific question for today, but he did ask this question within the group. And I get this question frequently, from the email list, and pretty much from the email list. From time to time, I get a question from the blog, is like, what program, what should I be doing? What kettlebell program should I use for fat loss? Okay, so Kyle's question was Kettlebell 6 or ABS, or Kettlebell 6 versus ABS versus Kettlebell Elite. Which program would you prefer for fat loss? And so this is something I see come up regularly, and so I thought I would address that here. And I've been guilty of this, and I've had to make sure to go back and really be clear about how I say things, because sometimes it can be misleading, okay? Now, to answer that question, did you know, well, actually, I'm going to answer the question with another question, but then I'm going to explain it. Did you know that there's no such thing as there's no such thing as a fat loss kettlebell workout? Did you know that? Oh my gosh, the world is going to explode. There's no such thing as a fat loss kettlebell workout. It does not exist. There's no such thing as a fat loss workout, period. Okay? Those don't exist. Those are marketing terms. Okay? Now, with that said, why do I say that? Okay? Two simple reasons. Fat loss is a direct result of nutrition, period. Fat loss is a direct result of the food that you're putting in your mouth, the quantity, the quality, etc. Okay? If you want to lose body fat, I can put a backpack on your back and have you do walking trails And if I dial in your nutrition, you're going to get shredded and you're going to get absolutely ripped. Okay? Walking. You can get ripped walking. Okay? So there's no such thing as a fat loss workout. Anybody that tells you there's such thing as a fat loss workout is just blowing smoke up your ass. Okay? It doesn't exist. Also, and this is what ABS is all about. My program, ABS, is all about. So strength building, muscle building, improving your endurance, these types of, these physical attributes, these are a direct result of the training stimulus. These are a direct result of running and lifting kettlebells and barbell deadlifting. Like, those are a direct result of that. There is not a food in this world that is going to get you stronger. There is not a food in this world that's going to build muscle by itself. Okay, imagine if somebody told you, hey, eat this food and it's going to improve your endurance. What would you tell that person? I would laugh at that person. You want me to eat this thing and this thing is going to improve my endurance? No, the only thing that's going to improve yours and my endurance is doing the work, the training, to create the training stimulus to improve my endurance. Okay? That's the equivalent of saying, hey, do this workout and it's going to burn fat. That doesn't happen. Okay? It's the exact same thing as someone said, eat this thing and you're going to improve your endurance. Doesn't happen. Now, with that said, and this is what the program ABS is all about. It's how to build muscle with kettlebells without eating in a caloric surplus. So the muscle heads around the world are going to say that's absurd. You need to eat in a caloric surplus to build muscle. That is wrong. That is not true. Now, with this tactic, following mostly the training stimulus, and you can build muscle on eating at maintenance and eating slightly in a caloric deficit. You can build muscle. Now, with that said, you're not going to be getting on the Mr. Olympia stage anytime soon. You're not going to build that kind of muscle, which is not even really functional. It doesn't carry over into everyday tasks, right? So what I think of, so building muscle is subjective, right? But when I think of building muscle, like the body, the figure, the type of physique that I'm picturing more of an athletic body. Think like, statues of like a Greek god. Think, the way, I think the guy that has the most badass body that I've ever seen, that's athletic, that's muscular, that's just absolutely ripped. And this is probably one of my favorite athletes of all times is Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens, you see that guy's physique, he's not getting on a bodybuilding stage anytime soon. But the guy is a freak of nature. To me, that's what a muscular body, an athletic body looks like, right? T.O. is a man, right? Love him or hate him, his personality, that doesn't matter. But you see his physique, right? You can build a body just like that using only kettlebells. You dial in the eating right, and you're going to lose the body fat. You don't have to eat in a caloric surplus to build that kind of muscle. Okay, now, if you're trying to be an Olympic weightlifter, you're trying to be a power lifter, you're trying to gain weight, you're trying to be a bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia type thing, yeah, you got to be eating in a caloric surplus, and on top of that with the training stimulus. But a caloric surplus without the training stimulus equals getting fat. Okay, because fat gain, weight gain is a direct result of the food that you're putting in your mouth, right? So I just want to clarify that. Okay, so if you look at a lot of the programs on my blog, a lot of them are more the only program that I even promote is fat loss oriented is the Double Kettlebell Manifesto, but that's because it comes with an actual diet and nutrition plan, the hard style diet, and I actually teach you what foods to eat, how to eat, and then you combine that with the training, that equals the fat loss. Okay, but there's no such thing as a fat loss workout. Okay, anybody that and so my whole point there was, if you look at all the programs on my blog, they're mostly performance-based, performance-oriented. You're going to build muscle doing this thing, right? You're going to build muscle because that's a result of the training stimulus. You're going to build this muscle. You're going to improve this endurance. You're going to get in shape. It's all that. It's not this workout blasts fat, this workout blasts fat. That's not really the message there, okay? And I've had to go back and make sure that that's not the message because it can be very misleading, right? So to answer Kyle's question is Kettlebell 6 versus ABS versus Kettlebell Elite. They're all fat loss programs if you think about it. If you're eating for the way that you want to look, you got to eat for the way that you want to look, right? So the form always follows the function, right? If you're training to look like an athlete, you're going to look like an athlete if you're eating the right way. Okay, so there's no such thing as a kettlebell fat loss workout. So let's talk about that a little bit, all right? I'm just going to give you some general guidelines. Okay, general guidelines of how you can eat for fat loss, okay? I'm not a big believer in counting calories, although calories are important. You need to understand like what your baseline is. You need to understand, okay, this is more or less like what I should be eating, but we're not going to completely go crazy on calories, okay? That's not what I teach my guys at all. So a good rule of thumb is you're going to eat roughly 10 times your body weight in calories, more or less. Okay, so 200-pound male, 2,000 calories. This is just very rough numbers, okay? You know what, forget the calories. Start by focusing on your protein, your carbs, and your fats, so the macronutrients. When you hit a certain total of macronutrients, by default, you're gonna hit a certain caloric number. Okay, so if we really focus more on the macronutrients, you're gonna default by hitting these, your total calories. So what I recommend is about anywhere from 0.8 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So you gotta figure out what your body fat percentage is. Once you figure out your body fat percentage, you'll know what your lean body mass is, and I recommend 0.8 to 1 gram per pound. Then from there, you got to cycle through. You got to know how to adjust a lot of these things. So if you want more details on this, shoot me a message. Maybe we can schedule a time to chat. This is something I directly help my guys with and all the students at our gym. So 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. That's protein. If you eat that, you're going to eat, by default, you'll eat a certain amount of calories. Carbs on strength training days, I recommend about like your body weight in grams of carbs on strength training days. So let's say you're strength training on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's say you weigh, 180 pounds. You're going to eat 180 grams of carbs on those days. And then the rest of your, and then after that, you'll be eating like 40% of your body weight in grams of fat. So if you hit that, it'll give you a specific number. You eat that, and you start to track your weight and your body fat percentage, and you see how it changes, okay? If you gain weight, then we need to adjust the numbers down. If you're losing weight, we might need to adjust the numbers up a little bit. That's just a very rough way to establish what we're eating, okay? So there's no such thing as a fat loss workout. There's no such thing as any kind of fat loss workout, specifically kettlebells. Now, let me also say something before I close out. So the kettlebell is not a magical thing, right? It's not a magical thing. It still comes into what you're eating if the goal is fat loss, okay? However, the kettlebell is the most efficient training tool that there is. If we're gonna start comparing all these different training tools, you've got barbell, you've got body weight running, sprinting, you've got kettlebell, you've got TRX stuff, you've got like all these different things out there. If you're looking for the best bang for your buck, right, and you're stressed for time, you want to improve your endurance, your mobility, flexibility, your strength, all that stuff, you want to improve those, the kettlebell is the most efficient tool. I don't think there's even an argument anymore, okay? I had another thought around that. Dang it, it went away. Is the most training tool around that, okay? And here's where I was going. Now, if you're getting started and you've got fat to lose, like, man, I need to lose 30 plus pounds or what have you, you're going to see weight loss. Here's where it can be deceiving that there's a fat loss workout. Okay, let me make a note on this. Here's where it can be deceiving is you have weight to lose, right? You're just trying to get back in shape. You've got 20, 30, whatever pounds to lose. You start working out with kettlebells. It's going to work your endurance and it's going to get you stronger, etc. Then you start to see weight loss. And you're like, oh man, this workout is what's making me lose weight, right? The reason why you're seeing weight loss in the beginning is because you have more body fat. This is why you've probably seen people that have like a lot of weight to lose and they lose a lot of weight really fast, but then they have a really hard time with that last little bit of like body fat, right? The little tire, the little bit of pudge that's still in your stomach. The reason why you have a hard time doing that is because when you have a lot of body fat to lose, you have a hormone in your body called leptin, okay? The more fat that you have, the higher your leptin levels are. Okay, because leptin comes from your body fat. So the more body fat you have, the more leptin you're gonna have. And leptin is also connected to your thyroid. And so the higher your leptin levels are, the more T3 and T4 you're going to release from your thyroid, which means you're gonna have an elevated metabolism. So you're gonna lose weight really fast. And when you combine that with exercise, you're gonna see a fast weight loss. And so it's easy to think, oh man, the kettlebells burn body fat. No, that's not what's happening. You just happen to have a lot of body fat on your body, okay? Now, as you lose the body fat, leptin levels go down because leptin comes from your fat. So as the fat comes down, leptin comes down. And when leptin comes down, metabolism comes down, right? Making it harder to lose those last stubborn 5, 10, whatever pounds, okay? Because your brain is designed to do 3 things: keep you alive, keep you safe, and to seek pleasure. That's it, okay? Here's newsflash. Your body does not want to lose body fat. It wants to survive. It does not want to lose that, so you have to force it through other different eating strategies and different training stimuluses. Your body doesn't want to build muscle. That is uncomfortable to do. The amount of stress and physical pain you got to put your body under to build muscle, your body does not want to build muscle. So you have to force it to do that through the right training stimulus. This is all stuff that I write about in the ABS ebook and even what I take my guys through and even our students through. So the reason why I'm saying that is it can appear that the kettlebell is magical and that you lose a lot of body fat because you've seen people make crazy transformations with this. Well, they had a lot of body fat to lose, but then they start to lean out, it gets harder because now you really got to dial in the nutrition. So you cannot think, you know what, I'll just eat whatever I want and I'm going to do this kettlebell training for fat loss and I can eat whatever I want. That's not the way it works, okay? You got to have both together, right? The kettlebell, the strength training, that's going to help improve strength, build muscle, improve mobility, better endurance, because it's a direct result of the training stimulus. There's not a food in the world that's going to improve those. Fat loss, okay, getting lean, getting shredded, or the new term, getting shripped, that is a direct result of nutrition. Okay, there's not an exercise in the world that's going to burn body fat. Some tools are more efficient than others, put you in a better caloric deficit, which can help lead to fat loss if you're eating the right way, but that will always come down to what it is that you're eating. All right, so Kettlebell 6, any program on my blog, Kettlebell Workout Sets. Here's another cool thing. You don't ever have to buy anything from me ever. You can download Kettlebell Workout Snacks. I'm actually in the process of putting out volume 4 by the end, going into fall. Volume 4 is coming out pretty soon, so keep your eyes open for that. You can take my free stuff. That's my goal. My free stuff, I want it to be more badass than anything that's out there that you'll ever pay for. You can take Kettlebell Workout Snacks, and many guys have done this. Like Leroy's here watching. Leroy's lost 20, 30 plus pounds just doing Kettlebell Workout Snacks and watching what he's eating. You can take kettlebell workout snacks, and it's over a year of training. Never buy from anything ever from me again. Follow that, dial in your eating, and you're good. Okay, and that's what I wanted that ebook to do. All right, because there's a ton of crap out there that's like that doesn't even get people results. All right, and that's what that ebook is all about. So just to recap, to close out, double kettlebell training. You can follow it by itself and then back it up with single bell. You can start to integrate it by either cycling the training or starting it before and after. And then when it comes to which program works best for fat loss, on my blog, they all work for fat loss. It all depends on how you're eating. You cannot escape that. You cannot escape that. There's no such thing as a fat loss workout. Those do not exist. People that say, hey, this is a fat shredding workout, they're full of it and they're just trying to get you to buy something. Which is why I've had to be very careful about the way that I talk about my programs. I always talk about how they're muscle building, they're gonna improve this, they're gonna do this. I do mention fat loss, but also because I back it up with the nutrition program in the training, and I make sure I'm very clear on that. Better strength, better endurance, all those things are results of the training stimulus, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So if you want fat loss, you got to dial in the eating. Quit eating out. And when I say eating out, tons of processed food and just eating way more than you're supposed to be eating. You can totally eat out and enjoy certain foods, but you got to dial in with what it is that you're eating. Okay. So those are the couple questions that came through. If anything I said sparked another question, drop a comment below and I will be happy to answer that question. All right. So if you guys, again, just if you have any questions, drop it below and have a great weekend, guys. If you got anything else, just let me know and I would be happy to answer it. Talk to you soon. Bye.